All right, good morning. Welcome to Market Day Report. You got me all day today. That's Scott Shelley, otherwise known as the Cow Guy. Thank you very much for tuning us in at bright and early, 8:15 on a Monday. Let's get a cup of coffee, get underneath that kitchen table, and let's get down to business here. Let's see where these markets were overnight. Let's take a look at corn. What's going on there? We were up 6. May 774 3/4, not bad, but let's look at the new crop as we start to get closer and closer to turning some wheels. 6 1/4 cents there in that new crop up to 722 1/4. So some good, a good corn board. What did beans do? Beans were a little bit easier, 7.5 cents lower in the May, 1681 1/2. Novi just lost that. Well, we're trying to get to that $15 level, aren't we? The high was 1502 overnight. 3 1/4 cents lower though, 1492 1/4. Let's see about Chicago wheat. What was going on over there? We were a little bit better, actually a lot of it better, right? May up 17.5 cents, 1069 even. We go out. The deferreds are all at least up a dime. Go out to even March of next year. That's up a dime. So we've got a little bit more of a bull spread going on there, but still a better wheat board in Chicago. How about Kansas City? What's that one look like? I think that's also higher, and it is by 18 cents. May's up to 11.24 3/4. That's an 18-cent gain. Deese is up 13 1/4 cents out the deferred, so 11.21 3/4. All right, not bad. Spring wheat showing some green on the screen here too. 13 1/4 cents higher, with May trading 11.40 1/2 overnight. And again, we've got a decent gain going out the deferreds in those contracts. And let's see what cotton's doing. Cotton was an interesting one. A little bit easier here, 72 points lower overnight, 131.69. But we're watching Deese, right? That one's still putting on gains. Some decent bull spreading going on here, or bear spreading going on here. 115.85. All right, let's bring in our next guest analyst, our first guest analyst, actually, Brian Hoops from Midwest Market Solutions. Brian, oh, boy, I just got done doing the radio show. I mean, there's a ton of stuff to talk about. I mean, I'll throw it over to you. The floor is yours, but it's going to be a volatile week.
Yeah, it certainly will be. And good morning, Scott. It's also going to be a shortened trading week, as it's Good Friday this Friday. So markets are closed Thursday night into Friday all day, and then we'll resume Sunday evening. But, so holiday shortened trading week, we had a huge export sale of corn this morning to China. So demand continues to be, pretty robust over to China. It was kind of split between the old crop marketing years and this year and next year. So kind of be on the lookout here for some selling to take place right after the opening. China had bought these futures some time ago as a hedge. Now they're going to sell the futures into the open market after they made this cash sale announcement. So we do expect to see a little bit of selling actually take place. Talking with clients already this morning around the upper Midwest, and the spring wheat belt is going to get some heavy snow this week, and that's a fit from the point. They badly need the moisture across the Dakotas and northern Minnesota, but it's really going to slow down any type of seedings that are going to try and take place. And talking with some other clients like in Montana, they're going to just have no moisture whatsoever. They're going to have very cold temperatures, and it's certainly going to hurt their winter wheat crops. So kind of a mixed bag as far as moisture, cold temperatures go in that upper spring wheat area. And as we get into the Midwest this week and into next week, it looks cold, it looks rainy, and that's great for moisture, especially in the western corn belt, but any early planting efforts are going to be very slow.
Great stuff. All right, we're going to have to take a quick break here. We're going to go away, come back, and talk with more with Brian Hoops after this. All right, welcome back to Market Day Report. Thank you very much for staying with us over the break, if you're staying with us. And it's my job to make sure you stay with us all day long. How about that? We're going to give that a try. Let's just to quickly review. The overnight sale was in corn. I had punched up soybeans because my fingers are very fat, but it should have been corn, and it's 1.02 million metric tons to China. So we just want to make sure that you saw that. Corn's a lot easier to spell for me, so I should have just deferred to that anyway, but who knows. All right, let's take a look at what's going on in the live cattle market. That's going to be something that you're going to be concerned about. Let's see what's going on in the Chicago live cattle. This was the close on Friday, so nothing happened overnight, but we had a little bit of a, this was quiet all week last week, if I remember correctly, and I do. We had April closing out the week at 137.82, but we look at just all the, we had no big ranges, no big changes, and usually when that's the case, that means we had a pretty quiet day. How about feeders? Well, what did they close at Friday? This is kind of like bookends, right? We had a gain in April and October of just 15 cents and 10 cents respectively, but everything else in the middle was off. And it's still not a big change, right? So April went out 156, spot 55, but then we saw some of the deferreds lose a little bit of ground, but no big deal. We'll wait and see how these things kind of open up here this morning. And then finally, lean hogs for the week. Last week, they settled on Friday. Generally speaking, across the board with a little bit of a gain. We did see the front month off a tick to 99.02. That's the April contract. But if you go out the deferreds, we started to gain about 70 cents when you get out all the way to August. So that brings me back to Brian Hoops from Midwest Market Solutions. Brian, thanks for sticking around for us. What do you think about the livestock market? It's kind of interesting, actually.
Yeah, it was pretty, like you said, pretty quiet most of last week in the cattle market. But late on Friday, we saw a rally off the end of the lows of the day into kind of a middle of the range. The weekly slaughter pace was announced at about 676,000 head, which is really a huge number. If we could hit 650 each week, we'd be in really good shape working through some of the numbers of cattle. And so it was well above that. And, talking with clients, they're saying, cash sales that they're making on a Tuesday are being picked up Saturday or Sunday. They're turnaround time is pretty quick right now. So packer demand may be a lot better than what the market has factored in. I wouldn't be surprised to see the cash markets start to try and work higher now, especially if we can keep up that slaughter pace. We're going into a holiday weekend, which no doubt will slow the pace a little bit. But if we can pick it up next week once again with some big kills scheduled, boy, we could see the cash markets here jump $1 to $2, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'd also bring up the fact that, there's some broader things at play here when it comes to the overall economy, and we'll see what happens with the Federal Reserve. And we're going to get two inflation numbers here today, or this week, right. CPI and PPI. Those are going to be really big ones, especially because we've seen a lot of new money come to the market, even not new, it's kind of old money coming back in again. But I'm really interested to see what they might do to, number one, consumer confidence, number two, the price of some of these things, these more select cuts that we've talked about, and the beef market. So I think this week's going to be really key for what your views may or may not be on the economy, because as you've seen already today, the Fed's going to be raising rates, and it looks like maybe even a slowing economy because crude oil is on its knees here because of what's been happening in China. We've got all these signs telling us that demand is not going to be there, so we'll have to wait and see. But I think that's what's going to make the week a little bit more interesting because it's a shortened one. We're going to have to deal with all those macro things, so we'll see. I really appreciate you being on. Great way to start the day. Brian Hoops from Midwest Market Solutions. Thanks for being on the show. Brian, I'm going to bring it back to Nashville, so I can throw this back over to Janet.